So once you have done these first steps, it's time to search the web for a potential scholarship donor. You can find several organizations that may fund your research topic. You have to make sure that.
Okay, so I'm familiar with some actually. There are some donors like the German Academic Exchange, or known as the EAD, that might potentially fund any topic, but there are also other donors that focus rather specifically on topics like biodiversity or female empowerment. What I can recommend to our students actually is to go to the website of the DAAD and look in the sections Find Scholarships for potential offers. The link not only lists the DAAD scholarships that are offered, but also scholarships of other funding institutions.
Great advice, thank you. So once you have identified one or more potential funding organizations, you should check whether you are an eligible candidate. Often you can only apply for a PhD scholarship if your latest degree, normally an MSc or MA, was obtained no more than 5 years prior to the PhD application.
Okay, but I mean, I have so many acquaintances that actually work or have to care for children, and I'm familiar with organizations that do take into account that some people spend a lot of time caring for children or parents in the period between their master thesis and a PhD proposal, and they also allow for a longer period since the acquisition of the last degree.
Yes, but you have to check on it, and you also probably need to have a written statement, certificate by some sort of organization that yes, you took off for childcare or you took care of your parents. Just telling that may not work. And another important aspect is that your overall level of distinction on the MSc or MA certificate with a grade below B- will most probably not allow you to take up a PhD study in a German university. And also when it comes to the funding of your PhD proposal by a donor, the overall grade should not be below B+, else your chances of success are very low. And at least for the scholarship funding organizations in Germany, this is sort of the cutoff point. But if you are sure that you are fully eligible to be funded from your selected scholarship organization, then you should continue your journey of proposal writing. Otherwise, if you feel that there are problems in you getting a grant, you may also stop here and think about alternatives. The doctoral degree is not really the single most important thing in life. And working in the private sector may be as rewarding and interesting as pursuing an academic career.
I see. But for many people, having a doctoral degree is actually everything. So if you are sure that you're indeed eligible for a scholarship and that you have a very interesting topic that you want to cover, then check exactly what are your potential donor funds. Most of them offer a personal scholarship that covers living expenses and insurance. Some of them also provide annual funds for traveling from your home country to an academic host organization. In addition, they also offer grant money for attending scientific conferences, costs for publishing your research papers in open access journals, and a few even provide funding for your research.
Yes, and you really need to look into all of these aspects in detail. If you realize that the funds you require for your research exceed the money that is granted by a scholarship organization, then you may probably look for another organization, or you have to change your research topic to one that incurs lower costs. Or you have to abandon the plan of designing and conducting your own research project and rather start to look for a fully funded PhD position.
Yes, I'm quite familiar with this in the German context. So some positions are offered by university chair groups in the context of third-party funded projects. So you need to identify suitable chair groups and check their job offer pages very regularly. Sometimes PhD positions are not announced for a broader audience, but rather in the university's central job offers site. Then make sure that you check these pages bi-weekly or monthly.
Exactly. But if you are confident that your research topic and you as a person have a good chance of winning a research scholarship in a very competitive selection process, of course, then you can proceed to the next step of proposal writing. And this is the elaboration of your materials and methods section. In this section of your proposal, you have to specify where you want to do your PhD research and provide information about the location, for example, the topography, climate, socioeconomic setting or political situation. But of course, according to what is relevant to your specific research topic. If you plan to study forest biodiversity, the socioeconomic and political conditions are not relevant. But if you want to study the biodiversity in a community-managed forest as compared to the biodiversity in a state-managed forest, then the socioeconomic and the political conditions may well be of importance.
So, after the description of the study site, I should write a short section on the anticipated study period, where I detail when I plan to commence with the PhD research project, when will I do my empirical or experimental work in the field or in the lab, or the greenhouse and so on. So, how long does this usually take?
Well, the scholarships are normally handed out for 3 to maximum 4 years, and so your whole plan should, of course, cover this specific time period. And if you have a proposal with so many tasks and a reviewer already sees that you'll never finish in 3 to 4 years, your funding chances are also declining. In the following methodological sections, you now need to work out in detail and step by step in a chronologically and methodologically sound order how you want to conduct your research in practical terms. Start by elaborating on the preparatory or basic steps needed. For example, the testing of a new lab method or the implementation of a baseline survey that is needed to familiarize yourself with your study region and your research population. And from this first step, then develop the next logical steps and always make sure to yourself, but also then to the reviewer who is reading your proposal, how these steps build on each other and why each of these steps is absolutely necessary. If the step is not necessary, but rather a sidetrack, drop it.
But why should I not consider aspects that are supplementary to my research questions? They may be very important at the end.
Well, yes, but in most cases, as we already discussed, your scholarship donor will not fund more than 3 to 4 years of PhD research. And if you plan for too many different research questions or too many different research steps, and then you need to also analyze this data and you need to write the thesis chapters or the papers, then you will trespass this relatively short period of 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, this is of course a very important aspect, and sidetracking must be avoided.